So the car scene as we know it is changing literally right before our eyes. Thanks to, man, I don't want to talk about politics, but thanks to the new Clean Air Act. Let's talk about it. Okay, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to you guys. So the last video is not getting rave reviews. We all know that. But what it is getting, and what's really surprising to me, is how many of you guys were like, man, I felt that, dude. You know, you didn't just do the fairy tale ending every YouTuber does. Instead, you kept it real. You know what? I appreciate you guys noticing that. I wanted to end that last video so badly on a positive note, and it just wasn't in the cards. But anyway, let's get to what's at hand. So, for those of you on social media, which, hey, you're watching me, you're here, welcome. There's been a lot of movement in the car scene in the last 48 hours. Word on the street is Lund, which they do a lot of like remote tuning of Mustangs and stuff. Apparently they got raided once again by the EPA. And then if you've seen some of the other places, I know the one that I saw was Stainless Works. Stainless Works now came out and straight up said like, yo, we're not selling any products to anybody that say off-road use anymore. Which is just, that's insanity. I'll put a picture of their letter here and I'll read it out. So this is data from February 25th. It says, to our valued dealers and customers, effective immediately, Stainless Works will no longer be accepting new orders for any exhaust products that had been previously supplied as off-road component systems. Over the last several years, the EPA has been consistently moving toward a stronger stance and enforcement of regulations related to the Clean Air Act. While Stainless Works designed these products to be used off-road, we cannot ensure the products are being used for their intended purpose by end user. Now see, that's wild. That is wild. But, and man, I want to just stray away from politics so badly right now. It's kind of hard to. So, obviously with the new administration, gas prices are changing. They're trying to, you know, dive headfirst into the whole climate change thing. And I get it, man. I understand it's a crisis. I also understand I have a life to live. And I have no problem doing my part. But you're not going to take away what my passion is. Especially when politicians are already hypocritical. What I mean by that is like, you got John Kerry, 2020's Al Gore, literally flying around on a private jet, which gives a carbon footprint thousands of times bigger than any of us, to accept an award for being a climate change activist. I don't know if you heard me. He's flying a private jet in order to get an award for being a climate change activist. Yeah. So anyway, back to the car stuff. How is this going to affect everyone? So, obviously, if you don't have headers or anything like that right now, hey, it's going to be hard, especially if you want to go with the catless route. The reason why, there's two separate reasons why. One, every single shop is being watched right now. Apparently, people's books are being looked into to see who they've sold to, and if there was any way for them to certify who had an off-road vehicle and who didn't. Now, there are applications out there. I was talking to my boy Mac yesterday, Mac Built, Rick Mac, you know who we're talking about. And he was telling me that there are applications where they have high flow cats and things like that where they make the same, if not better power. So it's not that big of a deal there. Where it does become a big deal, if you build your own garage cars, right? I.e. me and Eric, and you want to get tuned remotely, that just became 10 times harder. So, with this whole movement for the Clean Air Act right now, they're going after any off-road application products, and they're going after any remote tuning. So for those of you who are kind of ignorant to the fact, what remote tuning is you speak back and forth with your tuner, they send you files to upload, you data log, you send that data log back to them, they do a refinement until your car is running tip-top shape, right? The problem with that is California, for example, you can get somebody from here in Texas to send you a remote tune that's outside of the EPA spec of what they expect your smog level in California to be. That's a problem. Now, know everybody's kind of turned a blind eye to it, and a blind, like, nobody looks at it, right? I didn't know the best way to put that. But now it's to the point where the EPA is sending people massive, just gigantic fines for this, right? And unfortunately, that's going to trickle down to people like me and you. Now, obviously here in Texas, I have a little bit more leeway. Obviously, it's all about who you know, things like that. And here, where our standards aren't as crazy, now we still have to go through a smog check. And I mean, yes, this thing, even though we're long tubes, can, the whole 9 yards, we still have cats. So this is still technically legal. But tuning for everyone else right now is about to get very hard. For those of you who are doing prospective builds, whether it be V6, V8, doesn't matter engine size, if you are trying to do anything that messes with the engine management, make sure that you get it carb legal right now, or you find a shop that is completely fine doing everything without repercussion, because the repercussions are massive. So I don't know exact numbers here, and take everything with a grain of salt, because I had to hear it from a couple of different people and a couple of different tuners. People are refusing right now to tune cars that have California registrations. That's where a lot of these fines are coming from, which, let's be serious, nobody wants to pay a fine. And that's how it's trickling down to you guys, is because these companies are now refusing to do that, so you can't get your vehicle tuned. Now, you have to take into account here the small business owner's mindset. And what I mean by that is, and these companies are huge, they're not small businesses, but they're in a small industry. But what you got to take into account here is, yeah, they want to please you as the customer, but they also don't want to lose their business because of it. So it puts them in a very, very hard place. Now, we know how car culture works. We understand that it's going to keep moving. We'll find ways around it. Remote tuning and all of that, like, if it can't be tracked back to the remote tuner and it falls on the customer to take full responsibility of what they are and are not doing to their vehicle, hey, it could be as simple as a VPN. It could be. But that's where things like HP tuners comes in, where you have to pay for tokens and your vehicle registration has to be in there and it has to have a certain ID from the tuner. So people are going to find ways to start getting around this stuff. This is also the reason why large manufacturing car companies have been locking ECUs and PCMs so it could not be tuned. It's not because they don't want you to tune your vehicle, it's because of EPA regulations. So, guys, little short video here today, but I wanted to kind of get that out there, because for those of you who aren't paying attention, car culture is changing right now before your eyes. I hate to see it. I already feel like car culture is getting smaller by the day. I was reading a statistic a couple weeks ago that said that right now there are less people in their teenage years getting licensed than ever before, because of things like Uber and, you know, living with mommy and daddy at home. If you live at home with mommy and daddy, you get up, go get you a job. But yeah, I mean, we need to keep what we can. We need to be passionate. SEMA is already lobbying and sticking up for everybody. And we need to do that as well. We need to do our part. And that's what I suggest, 1,000%. If you're able to, do your part. There it is, guys. Short, sweet, to the point. Again, thank you for stay in your lane. God, thank you again for the support on the last video. It was a lot more than I was honestly expecting. I think you guys are getting to know me a little bit more, and I can truly appreciate that. Very, very short today. Like, share, subscribe, all that in between. Hey, just leave a thumbs up. It doesn't cost you $1. It doesn't cost you a dime, but it means everything to small channels like mine. I appreciate y'all. Stay savage. That's a cop.